Good evening, or early morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. Here, it's 3:27 a.m. and I'm eating some delicious shrimp curry Japanese fusion Indian udon noodle dish that I created in my kitchen before I went to work today. You know, my kids ate all the pork stew that I made the day before. It was pork neck stew, delicious. Obviously, because they ate it all. And, you're like, so what? Their kids, they eat. My kids are picky as fuck. You know, one of them doesn't like fried chicken. The other one doesn't like cheeseburgers. One of them doesn't like ketchup on their burger. Like, you know, they're not like me. They'll eat anything. Anything. And I mean anything. Like, I'm not necessarily proud of it, but I have eaten food from on the ground, from trash. What? Did you just say? Nothing. I said nothing at all. Anyway, listen, let's get down to business. Let's talk about some stuff. Some things. I don't like the fact that this is playing the music. There we go. I need that rumbling bass. You know, you feel it in your chest, throbbing, like things that throb, whatever they may be. We're not going to get into some of the things that probably popped up into your mind because you're sick, twisted individuals. Now I know what you're saying. This is called the ChAoS, right? Yeah, and I am chilling with my sons. One of them's sleeping. The other one's right there. Going through life. And this life. Sometimes I tell stories. Now, I do have a story for you, but it's not one that is necessarily fiction. But it's not totally fact either. Right? You have to decipher that for yourself. There was a man, right? We'll call him Jonah. John Jonah James. Jingle. John Jonah James Jingle was a prominent member of the community. You know, he did a lot to make sure that these people lived a decent life, right? He was a farmer, but back then, being a farmer meant you owned land. So the land that he wasn't using for farming, he would lease for different reasons. You know, back then, you know, being a landowner, obviously, gave you a lot more say in things because you own land. The term landlord comes from those days because you were literally the lord of your land. If people lived on your land, they lived under your rules because it was your land. Obviously, things have changed, but that's where it comes from. Now, anyway, John Jonah James Jingle, right? Landowner, good guy, leasing his land to the less fortunate. Now, for those who could not pay, he would offer them employment at many of his different enterprises. He had farms, he had factories, mills, hunting, trapping. You know, this man had his hand in everything. He was smart. He was smart. You know. Now, John James Joan Jingle John Jonah had one problem. There's a group of people. They weren't of any particular race, any particular ethnicity, but they had banded together under a membership, an exclusive membership. A membership that one could not join, a membership that was allowed to discriminate against others, and a membership that was not allowed to be talked about in any way negative without it being illegal. Now, John Jonah James Jingle didn't understand what the fuck was going on here. He's like, you know, what the fuck, people? You know, thought we were cool. Like, these folks here is like, kind of like separating things. You know, they're telling us who can do what and where and when. And somehow they control the trade. It wasn't like this before. Now, because I don't buy certain goods from them, they won't trade with me. And since the people that I used to trade with have now been moved out by them, well, I'm not making any fucking money. And I don't want their goods. I've been buying my goods that they want to sell me from my guy, who I'm like really cool with because I married his sister, and he has good stuff for like 50 years. I'm not gonna just fuck him for them. That's what he thought. But in the end, he ended up having to, you know, because he couldn't survive. He ended up losing his wife anyway. She went with a man who did decide to trade with them, only to end up destitute when they decided no longer to trade with him either. It was terrible. Poor John Jonah James Jingle. Going through his trials and his tribulations one day. Just walking through the desert. Slipped and fell into some quicksand. Now, John Jonah James Jingle wasn't a religious man. Not at all. He didn't pray to Jesus or any of the gods that were around during this particular time period, which was before Christ. So he wasn't praying. And obviously Christianity didn't exist because Christ was still alive. Right? You know. Fucked up they had to wait until he died to like then kill him his name. Fucked up, right? Like, let's talk about that for a second. I've always found it strange. You know, the chosen child of the entire salvation of humanity is born. Right? And three kings come. They travel. They take this journey. And they present upon a child frankincense, myrrh, and gold. The fuck is a baby doing with that? You know, what's he doing? Like, if it was for something that he was supposed to do when he was older, then they should have given it to him at like his 18th birthday or some shit like that. Not like when he was a baby. When he was a baby, they should have bought legions of soldiers loyal to the cause, so that everyone knew, don't ever try, anything. Now, of course, there's many of you that will say, well, it was God's plan. So you mean to tell me that God planned for his son to be brutally executed and tortured and then crucified and left outside to die, just to die for the sins of a bunch of people who don't give two fucks. No, I don't buy that. That's like saying me, I'm a god, right? And my son, who's sitting right there, I say, hey, listen, I'm gonna send you down among the mortals and make you immortal, and they're gonna kill you, right? They're gonna kill you, and then some of them are gonna believe in your return, but they're not gonna realize that your return means their demise. And those who do know that it means their demise are gonna be happy about it for some stupid ass reason, because they think me, your father, is gonna somehow like forgive them for what you humans did to us gods. Like, that's what I would be thinking if I was a god. And no, there would be no repenting. There'd be nothing. There would be death. But there would be no death because I, as a god, would never send any of my children to die for the sins of things that are beneath them. It makes no sense, right? Of course not. Of course it makes no sense. I know what you people are saying. Blasphemy! He believes in nothing. I believe in God. Just my God. Not your God. Your God has done nothing for me. Why? Because he's your God. Not my God. Who is my God, you say? My God has no name. He's just a force of nature that, well, he has no sex, actually. I just say he because I've been indoctrinated to believe that a force so great that could create so much must have a sex, and that sex must be male. Which makes sense if you're a male, that you would believe such things. But then if you're female, you probably believe that God is a woman, because women somehow create life. You don't create life. You incubate life. You do not create it. You help create life. You carry life. You give birth to said life. But create it on your own, you don't. As far as history knows, there's one woman, her name is Mary, who was able to immaculately conceive a child through sex with a god. Now, this is not uncommon, folks. This is not uncommon. Gods have been the baby daddies since the beginning of existence. Why do you think that there are so many baby daddies in the world? You know, they think it's a black thing. It's not a black thing. It's a God thing. It's a God thing. Look at fucking Jesus Christ. Mary's a baby mama. God didn't marry her, which is weird. Like, on some real shit, I'm not trying to be blasphemous, people, but Jesus is a bastard, right? Of course he is. He's a bastard. By the standards of those days, Jesus is the ultimate bastard. The ultimate bastard. Which is why he's so powerful in the eyes of many. But then it also makes sense why he would have died in the way he did. Now I know what you people are saying to yourselves. This story is not a story. This is some weird ass religious, non-religious shit that I'm not feeling right now. But it's just, I'm asking you to look at things from your point of view and not the point of view of a bunch of ancient people who wrote books thousands of years ago to trick you into believing in things that you shouldn't have believed in then. Right? You shouldn't have. Human nature is not violent. We're not violent by nature. We can be prone to violence, but our nature is not violent. If that was the case, there wouldn't be 3.5 billion of us or more on the planet Earth. Now you're probably saying, well, if we weren't so violent, there'd be more. No, there wouldn't be more. There wouldn't be more. Trust me, I guarantee you there wouldn't be more. There would be no need to repopulate. You don't see the ancient tribes of the Amazon overpopulating. You know why? Because they make enough and then they stop. Because they know there's no point. Like, as a man in these societies back in ancient times, you had to be able to prove your fucking worth before you could bring forth mouths. What happened to that? those types of civilizations were called savage. I mean, they didn't make them like go to war first to prove that they were men. There were other things they had to do to prove that they were men before they ever were even able to fight as warriors. Because just fighting isn't what makes you a man. It's just a small part of it. It's a very small part of it. Acting violently and on impulse takes absolutely no thinking whatsoever. It's easy as fuck. It's probably one of the things that make men so formidable is our ability to act on impulse without an excuse for it. Like, they've given us excuses over time to like compensate for us getting in trouble for it, like crimes of passion. Like, the man came home and he saw a man fucking his wife, so he immediately killed them both. It was a crime of passion, right? No, it's not. Most motherfuckers know that their woman is cheating on them long before they find out. They're just kind of like waiting so that they can say it was a crime of passion. But it's premeditated. It's premeditated. Men don't have the luxury of spontaneity when it comes to things of that nature. Because life in itself for men is very spontaneous. Danger around every corner. I mean, minus, let's see, like, if I was listen, do not listen to what I'm saying and take it as what I'm saying mean as threats. I in no way, shape, form, or fashion want to hurt anyone. If that was the case, I'd be hurting people now. But I don't want to do that. That's terrible. I want people to live. I want everyone to live. Even those who are hurting each other, I want both sides of those conflicts to live. So what I'm basically saying is stop killing each other, people. I know you're not going to listen to me, but I want you all to know that I really am, and that's why I don't watch the news anymore, because all I hear is war and kids dying and civilians and soldiers being beheaded by other soldiers, and now we don't expect those soldiers to become POWs because of who wants to listen to that shit? I don't. So for anyone to think that what I'm about to say next means that I want these things to happen, no. I'm just speaking from my own vantage point, being a man, and if I were a man that decided to go do a mass shooting, who I would shoot, being me, okay, or who I would think would be shot if I was in the other end of it. So let's look at it from the shooter's point of view first, so I can make you really upset now, and then I can speak from if I was the person I would most likely be, which is the person who could potentially be the victim, right? Because I don't own a gun, so I can't be the shooter, right? I can't shoot you if I don't have an instrument that shoots to shoot you with. So here we go. I'm mad as fuck, right? I've had enough of whatever petty nonsense is pissing me off. Maybe I'm not getting enough likes on Instagram. Maybe some girl I was trying to talk to doesn't want to talk to me because I'm awkward as fuck, because I've spent so much of my life behind a screen that I don't know how to interact with a human being. Right? Now I'm mad. I'm mad about this. Now let's just say I'm not mad at women, right? I'm not mad at women. I'm just mad at people. I probably got bullied too because I'm weird. Who am I shooting first when I walk into a building? Men. I'm shooting them first. It's really going to give me no joy to shoot women, and it's especially going to give me no joy to shoot children. Men, I'm going to assume, might try to be a hero. Maybe they themselves may have a gun. Now, see, it's that chauvinist type of thinking which probably would get me popped in the throat by a woman who is carrying a gun, right? And more power to her. She should pop me because I'm shooting people, right? Now, how likely is that to happen? I'm not sure. I do think that it did happen once that I know of in Texas when some fucking psycho came in and was either stabbing people or shooting people in a Waffle House. And this woman, it was like back in the 70s or 80s or something, I think, or 90s, shot the guy. You know, she's just a regular person. I think he had killed one of her fucking parents, and she was like, fuck this. We're not waiting for the fucking police. I have a gun. And she shot him. But one of her parents may have died first, and who knows how many other people died before she decided to do that. Then there was another case I remember of a dude. He was a guy, and he was, you know, scrambling to a bathroom. I think it was also in Texas, in a Waffle House or some shit like that. And the fucking dude tried to, I don't know what he tried to do. I can't remember. Then there was, I'm trying to do some shit. He tried to like kill people. Obviously, that's what you do when you're shooting at people. And he was in the bathroom. He had Brandon there trying to, you know, protect himself. And he's thinking, yo, this dude is gonna, you know, mind you, he ran in the bathroom to protect himself, right? Himself, not other people, himself. He didn't like gather people and bring them in. So when he realized that he had trapped himself in a place with only one entrance in, and this gunman was shooting people and was going to eventually make his way there because he saw a bunch of people run in there, this man thought, well, guess what? We're probably going to die. I don't want to. So he charged this guy when, you know, he could, and he ended up tackling him. And everybody called him a hero and all this shit, and he got really hurt by this because he's like, I'm not a hero. Like, I didn't do this to save anyone. I was trying to save my own ass. Like, he didn't say it the way I'm saying it, but let's say it was me, right? Yeah. I'm like, yo, listen. This motherfucker was shooting at people, right? And so I immediately ran to the first place he wasn't shooting at, which will happen to be the bathroom. But then I realized there's no way out of this bathroom. And he's going to come in here and he's going to shoot all of us. And I don't really care about these people because at this point, the only thing I'm thinking of is not dying, right? Now he hears him in the hallway. He hears him in the hallway, but he hears that he's either reloading or something. He's not shooting. That's enough for him to charge him. Bam. Now he didn't say, I'm gonna save you. No, he didn't do any of that. He charged this guy, knocked him down, got the gun away from him, and he kept running. Or maybe he didn't. But the fact is, what I'm trying to say, folks, is either from the side of the person doing the things that are being done or the side of the people who have to deal with that shit, you never know what's going on in someone's head, right? You never know. But I do know that for the most part, most of us don't want to hurt anybody, even if we don't like certain people. We just don't want to be bothered, right? And that's what the American way is all about. All this forced integration makes no sense to me. If people choose to segregate themselves, they should be allowed to do so, as long as they're not keeping other people from being a part of what they're doing. But at the same token, and on their side of things, why do you want to be a part of something that you're not already a part of? Why? Because someone told you you can have that? You can't have that. It's not yours. Learn to stay within your means and your lanes. There's nothing wrong with segregation because when I come together with people who are not of my culture or my ethnicity, I don't view them differently because I don't live around them. I view them as interesting. I'm curious. I want to learn more. They haven't conformed to our ways, but they respect them. I love that. It's one of the things I do love about this country is you don't have to change who you are. But remember this, just because you don't have to change who you are doesn't mean that you shouldn't respect the customs of the place that you're in. Because, for us Americans, we travel to certain places. We have to respect those customs legally. Now, I'm not saying it should be that way here, but there should be some type of mutual understanding that, yeah, it's a melting pot of sorts. It's more like a salad bowl because our cultures don't necessarily melt, but in places they do. And that's the interesting thing and most, I think, beautiful thing about this country is the fact that there are so many different cultures that share what their culture is about. And what I love about America is the food. Like the real food. It's not just like burgers and fries and shit. I'm talking about like the old world cuisine of different immigrants that come to this country, mixed in with contemporary American cuisine to form something a little bit old and a little bit new. Like the way I cook, for instance. I just cook. I remember things that I've tasted and I try to emulate those things, but with my twist. Like maybe I wouldn't have done this, or maybe I would have done that. And so that's what I do, and I don't do what I don't want to do, but I do what I do want to do. And when I do what I want to do and not what I don't want to do, I do some shit. And it's tasty. 4 o'clock in the morning ramblings. I'm gonna give this until 4 o'clock, because it's not 4 o'clock, but it will be in 6 weeks. And I'm gonna lay down and go to sleep because I'm actually tired. I'm actually tired. Maybe I'll listen to some scary stories before I go to sleep. Not mine. Because mine are not as scary to me as they are funny. Some of them are, like the real ones. Like the real ghost stories. Because there are real ghost stories mixed in with some of the fucking fake shit. There's some real shit. Well, you know what? I was going to wait until 4 o'clock, but I know if I tried to, my eyes were just going to close. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, listen, I'll see you guys another day. Another day, of course.